nerves will still be playing. Just a little bit of delay on the Berkshire station for Headington. And now it's Henley who are going to delay, and now Headington as well. There's obviously a bit going on at the threat. The breeze has picked up, actually, Adrian. We ought to mention we're at the finish line, but you can feel the breeze blowing into the commentary box, and it'll be having an impact down the course as well.
Slightly messy start
Henley
there
Rowing Club, yeah, just missed a beat. They've fought their way through that, but it wasn't clean off the pontoon.
No, it wasn't, and then it caused a few steering issues as well after that. It didn't go quite straight. But both crews now, Henley's back on terms, back on rowing a good solid rhythm, really aggressive. You just have to ignore that and just get on with what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it wasn't a disastrous mistake, although perhaps has cost them a little bit of ground, and now they're having to work back, and they are, Henley, working back immediately on Headington.
It cost them a few feet at least.
Yes.
And now they're going to have to work hard just to make up for that little deficit. But Headington here seems to be transitioning into something nice. Just starting to eke away there as we come past the, looks like a circus tent on the far side.
That is for the Rewind Festival, which I think you'd really enjoy, Adrian.
I think that's my kind of thing, dude.
It's definitely your era, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, perfect. Bit of disco.
Please don't be offended. My era too, Sam.
Exactly. So here, both crews now settling into something that they're going to have to deal with for the next 4 or 5 minutes. You can see here in the Thames crew, in the bows, there's 2 girls rowing on the same side of the boat. They obviously think this is the best orientation to get the best out of this crew.
So Headington School have taken an advantage. Henley Rowing Club. How much does it rattle your concentration if you do? And I described it as missing a beat, which I think is, you know, as significant as it was. It was nothing more than that at the start. You could just see they didn't quite nail the timing in the first 2 or maybe 3 strokes. How much does that then play on your mind? Especially, you know, these are young athletes, aren't they? And this is a big moment, huge stage for them. They don't want to be mucking up in the first 2 or 3 strokes. How much would it be playing on their mind further down the water?
It could go both ways. I mean, for the next few strokes after that, I'm sure it is on your mind, and people maybe are a bit hectic because of it. But really, the Cox then controls you. You've got such an organised regime of what you're doing at 10 strokes, 15 strokes, 25 strokes, 35 strokes, getting into your rhythm. So you know what you need to do. So it's quite easy just to drop back into the routine that you rehearsed.
So you have to focus on that
exactly.
so fully that you can't be preoccupied with what's just happened.
And it's the old thing about, you know, you've made a mistake. It's gone now. You can't dwell on it. You just need to capitalise and just focus on what you can deal with going forward.
Parking it, which is so easy to sit here and talk about, isn't it?
Really easy.
But so difficult to do as an athlete, and even more difficult to do when you're on this sort of stage under this sort of pressure. Because semi-finals is a massive day, isn't it? In any event, nobody wants to bow out at the semi-final stage of anything, and so for these youngsters, that mistake could be just.
But really good coaches will actually create these sort of environments in training.
Or deliberate mistakes.
They'll put them under pressure in training, so they make mistakes in training.
Yes.
So then you can talk about the mistake
and how to best cope with it.
And how to manage, like you said, the mentality of parking it.
Yeah.
You know, once they make the mistake in training, there's no consequence for that.
Yeah.
But then you can go through that and say, this is how you have to deal with that happens again. If something ever happens, or if you hit a swan, or you know anything random happens, you just need to get back on what you've practiced. Headington here really out to clear water, length and a half.
Yeah, if you just coach the best case scenario every time, you'll probably come unstuck when it's going to be.
Exactly.
I remember Adrian Morehouse, a swimmer, in his Olympic Games final. He had mentally rehearsed being in every position at the final turn, and as it turned out, when he came to the final turn, he was in last place. And he said because he mentally rehearsed being in last place so much, obviously he hoped he wasn't in last place, but he was, because he'd rehearsed that so frequently, he could deal with it much more comfortably. Just thought, right, okay, that's this plan, off I go. And he's one of the best sports psychologists out there at the moment. So
you don't have to suddenly figure out what to do. You've already decided what you would do in that position.
And that's what experience is all about, isn't it?
What they call the what-ifs.
Yes.
So Headington here. And this is one of the interesting things about talking about what-ifs. People are scared to talk about this what-if.
Yeah.
What do we do if we're 2 lengths up? Well, I don't want to talk about that in case we're sort of not 2 lengths up. But actually, you have to, and then don't talk about it this morning. maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, you could say, well, if we're racing somebody and we're 2 lengths up, what do we do?
And that's where the planning from the coach comes in, isn't it? You need to be, you don't want to have too much to do on the last couple of hours ahead of such a big competition. But yeah, they look like they know what they're doing at the moment, Headington.
Yeah, Ryan Domain, who coaches the crew here, has produced a really good 8 for this. It's been frustrating for them because the way the school was organised, you couldn't have all these girls rowing in crews together during the summer. But now that everything's opened up again, and he actually organised for one of the parents to move out of their house so all the girls could go and live together and be in a bubble on their own. And every time the girls went training, parents would come back and clean the house, drop off the food, and get out again. So really, I mean, lots of planning has gone into these crews.
That's living the dream, but also living the life of an elite athlete as well.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
Which again is a good thing with the timing of this Henley R.C. Regatta. Post exams, they've been able to really concentrate on their rowing and not have too much in terms of other commitments.
I think it's the gift of COVID for these school kids.
It is, yeah.
The fact that they've had, the exams are finished, they've had just 5 or 6 weeks with their friends, just doing the sport they love, out in the sunshine every day. It's awesome.
Where have you been? Out in the sunshine every day for the last 6 weeks?
My glass is always half full.
Amelia Gleed in the bow seat, you can see there. Phoebe Horan, Mia Brown, Pillar, Molly Fennell, Isaac McGee, Claudia Rossington, and in the stroke seat, Jessie Martin. The cox is Sophie Wrightson.
And Sophie just had a look over her right shoulder there just to see where Henley Rowing Club were, just making sure she knows how to measure this effort.
I think she'll be pretty pleased to see. She can see that. It's a big lead going in front of Stewart's. She's got a bit more gloomy, a bit more overcast in the last few minutes. I promised you there'd be no rain today, about an hour ago. Now I'm starting to doubt myself.
So here, Henley still really attacking this race here as they come down the last few hundred metres. So Headington here, they'll be facing Surbiton tomorrow in this final.
Surbiton High School, but beating Regatta School earlier on in the programme. So 45 minutes ago.
You see now the deck chairs are starting to fill up with the crowds.
Yeah, there'll be big crowds in this afternoon, that's for sure. Semi-finals day of Henley R.C. Regatta, and a great moment for the Oxley schoolgirls here. Headington School in the Junior Women's 8, heading for the finish line, beating Henley Rowing Club comfortably. Henley Rowing Club, who were so impressive in the previous rounds, but it's Headington School who are going to head to the final, the first ever final of the Junior Women's 8s. It's a new event for 2021, and all of these rowers have to be younger than 18 last September the 1st, so young athletes experiencing something magical. A Henley R.C. Regatta final coming up for them tomorrow. And you'll see the celebrations. There'll be a fair bit of exhaustion and pain across their face as well. They're playing it pretty cool, actually, Henley R.C. Regatta. We've seen some big celebrations, but not from Headington particularly. I think they're so exhausted from that. They're in the final tomorrow.